Good day, sir! Would you like to buy an arcane red solder capacitor?
That's right, folks. It is the third beta, well, pre-alpha dev thingy. Yeah, that's right. The third development update thing for Thaumic Revelations. You're probably saying, where have you been for the last 3 months? Depression. Yep, like many creative types, I suffer from depression. As in the chronic chemical imbalance in my brain. Don't worry. I've been doing things. First up, look at all these textures. That's right. We have poor gravel ores. They generate in the world. As do the... not poor gravel ores. Regular gravel ores. We don't have poor gravel ores. Breaded eggs. But the poor ores... yeah, just my mic, so there's less me breathing into it. The poor ores and the gravel ores generate in the world. This is my old test world, so they don't generate it, or they do, just super far out. Shiver Pearls, Stormy Pearl, and Stony Pearls have textures now, yes. And pods. And various clusters. The zinc, aluminium, nickel, platinum, xenotime, tungsten, iridosmium, bismuth, tenantite, and tetrahedrite. Soul fragment. Yes, I added soul fragments. And pods, which you get just by crafting. Including cinder pearl. Crafting the pod. You don't craft it into blaze powder anymore. But the pod gets you 3 when you process it, so. Pinch of redstone. Yes. I textured the Great Wood Shaft. The enchanted Great Wood Shaft is just the same texture. The arcane red solder capacitor core. It's a capacitor itself. Mort, stop chewing on the at. My cat. My cat, folks. Makeshift aspect orb receptor. Yes. Look at my beautifully ugly texture. It's for the aspect orb system that will take a really long time to implement. I retextured the awakened Wardenic stuff. The texturing I had was broken. And now there's this with 152 frames. I modified the dust textures slightly for those two, and added tiny dust textures. Fluonic sapphire block? Yep, because fluonic sapphire stuff has been textured. Wardenic crystal block in all 3 forms has been textured, and impregnated and corrupted great wood has textures. I also changed socketed red cloth to capacitive red cloth due to a change in plans relating to socketing. And red cloth now has a texture. You see the change in plans. Those poppy noises. That was just me making a labial ejective at that time. But, so, that's going to be done with tools. You can have tools and, like, a bench, and you're going to be able to socket things. They'll have a determined number of sockets, like socket slots you can put sockets into, and certain sockets can only accept certain types of aspect orbs. And there's certain bonuses, because, yay, complexity! Anyway, I have textured the Wardenic composite ingot and magneturgic composite ingot. The fluxed and resonant fluxed I have not textured yet. Mort? What are you... he's messing with another part of a chip bag. Cat. Yes, I've textured the fluonic sapphire, as I said. The flux robes. Yes, the flux robe waistcoat, I say. There's the second tier of aspect orb receptor, but I haven't, implemented that. It's uncraftable, there's not even a research. It's just a little thing. I've textured all of the raw ingots, the excavator petal slurry, and oil, and both parts of the fabric. I've completely got the crops working, which I can go out and show you. And let me get myself a mattock here. Because, you know. Righto then. I've got all that. See, you can right-click them properly, and they do what they're supposed to now. There was like some wrong comparisons, and then I was doing some things out of order as well. But now you can just harvest all these, and yeah, it's pretty great. If I do say so myself, I do suggest it myself, farming these. And cotton is kind of important. Ah, yes, this was a mock-up for the recipe for, or I've implemented all researches, the Essence of Awakening. I actually need to implement turning the awakened crystal into dust. That's another thing I need to do. One thing for the third pre-alpha version that Asdroth and Tihan, who have made textures, specifically if we look up the cotton, and Asdroth did the cotton and Tihan did the thistle, I believe. Maybe it's the other way around. I forget. My memory's not good. But Awakened Wardenic Crystal Dust, which I haven't implemented crafting, but it's basically the same as getting regular Wardenic Crystal Dust. The Primal Essence, some Wardenic Binding Compounds, Salus Mundus, Fluonic Pyroptase Dust. You can't get that until the second alpha version, so don't even try making this tier 5 stuff. Primal Wardenic Composite Plate, and a Palladium Ingot. This incredibly expensive recipe. Note that, yeah, the Awakened Wardenic Crystal requires a Nether Star. You require 4 of those for an Essence of Awakening. The tier 5 stuff's going to kick your ass. But that's why you should settle, for now, for the simply unbreakable tier 4 stuff. That's right, no durability whatsoever. And of course, the tier 3, it has durability. It's just 10 times that of iron. That's right, 10 times that of iron. Because the stuff is expensive, so it should be quite, durable. Then again, if I go into Creative Plus, I have figured out what's required to make a full suit of that armor, of the tier 3. Mort, shut up! One moment, I'm letting my cat out of my room. Yes, and each of these is an entire 8 Essentia. You're saying, shit. Now I am going to be modifying how much Alumentum is required, and these are specifically half of a file. I remember that much. But yeah, it's expensive, to say the least. But you just slap a regular old Wardenic steel plate on, not even one of the, augmented ones. It's literally just this, which I'm going to change to just require 1 Alumentum. Yeah. And Organic steel, you know, is pretty cheap. Organic steel block. That is the most recent thing I implemented, actually implementing it earlier today. Thaumic steel, which is super, super easy to make. And yes, all of the research is in. This is how you turn them into this, although I need to try and figure making it turn into the thermal foundation version isn't quite working. That's another thing I need to debug, but you see, everything is implemented, even the primal pendant. It requires 2 nether stars because the primal pendant is kind of overpowered. So I've got one on. Okay. Let me put up this. And there we go. Just wait around a bit, you know. Just wait around. See? Suddenly got 1 air in there. Why? That's what the primal pendant does. It is overpowered. It's the kind of thing that it's obvious why it needs 2 nether stars, right? Because it's actually not that powerful when you consider that it's basically the equivalent of having 4 primal pendants on your inventory, like just in your inventory, and having a wand in your hotbar. Or recharge-wise. Yes, primal pendants actually do that. They're kind of expensive, but nowhere near that expensive. And yeah, let me just go into this mode. Yes, you can put it on a recharge pedestal to recharge it. See? It's actually pretty great. If there's... It's like, the first alpha version is going to have some relatively neat stuff, in my opinion. Not great, mind you. It's like, you know, oh, so you got some kind of cool unbreakable armor and a neat pendant. What else? RF powered robes. If we go here, the flux robes. Yes, thermal goggles are revealing. I mentioned how that's a reference to the thermal suite. And yeah, capacitive red cloth is actually pretty simple. Pinch of redstone dust. Wait, no, that's tiny reduced redstone dust, sorry. And a pinch of Salus Mundus, an arcane red solder capacitor core, and some red cloth, which is, you know, 1 Panis, 2 Potentia, 1 Tutamen, and some redstone infused fabric, which is just, you know, you get 4 of these, some reduced redstone dust, some Salus Mundus, and a thing of quicksilver, and you get 4. Reduced redstone dust, if you look here, is just redstone. 1 order, 1 entropy, 1 energy. The core requires arcane red solder nuggets, which arcane red solder, it's simple. Some dull red solder, some reduced redstone dust, and some quicksilver. And dull red solder is copper, tin, and silver, 4 lead, and 2 redstone. You get 8. it's not hard. It's just, you gotta get things in decent, ratios and whatnot for the Thaumic, for like Magitech Thaumic stuff, and those are some mountains in the distance, and that's a tall tree. Tall trees stand in the distance. I know what you're thinking. Mortvana? No. No, just quoting random lyrics to Crowded House songs. Well, I'm sorry, but I will quote all of the Crowded House songs that I want to. But in my own free time. Yeah. Yeah, I went over this, and I went over this. These numbers are simply how many things I need to texture. So, for example, the pinch of primal essence isn't textured. The fluonic pyroptase stuff and the dioptase and pyrope shrouds aren't textured in this. These two composite ingots, not textured. Slag, not textured. Lots of these aren't textured. Primal essence, not textured. Wordenic hardening compound, not textured. The essence of awakening, the TO4 plates and TO3 plates aren't textured. All of the, half of the, magneturgic stuff isn't textured. The redstone infused fabric and the capacitive red cloth. The aspect orb receptor isn't textured, but we don't really need that to be textured in this version. Hardened silverwood and Wardenic obsidian aren't textured. Lots of the silverwood isn't textured, and all the seeds except cotton seeds aren't textured. And, like, the cotton thaumaturge's robes aren't textured, and I need to redo some of the primal robe textures. I just need to redo them because the first versions wasn't great. And then the 3, 4, and 5 tier organic stuff needs textures, and the flux robes need textures. And basically, all of the armor that you can wear needs textures, except, of course, Warden Cloth. And, lots of things need research text and tooltips and whatnot. And basically everything needs aspects for when you scan it. But, this is, a good enough thing to have a pre-alpha, which, Azeroth and Tihan are testing. When they have time, it's like, hey, you guys wanna test? I won't be able to really fix that much this weekend, but if you guys wanna test, well, so that there's stuff for me to fix during the week, and they're like, sure. And yeah. So I'd say expect the next one of these in anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, because that will be less of a development update and more of a it'll be kind of a half and half thing. Me showing off all the things that I've finished, and it'll be a where do we go from here? Type thing. The first step will, of course, be like a month, me taking a month off so I can do other things, like write my book, and probably set up a modded Skyrim instance. Because, yeah, that takes a lot of time if you're gonna be, like, heavily modding. Which I like to do, because, yeah. Ah, yes. My addiction to modding, it stems back, you see, to 1.2 of Minecraft. Release version. You see, when I was young, I did not know about the Technic Pack, at the time's unsavory mod inclusion policies. I was young. Very young. And I was like, oh, well then I'm gonna figure out how to do this on my own. And I did. You know, that's about the same time I got addicted to beekeeping in Minecraft. Yes. Yeah. I'm a member of Apiculturists Anonymous. You know? But, yes, and then that spread to other games, you know? Factorio, Terraria, Skyrim, you know? And so, yeah, I'll be taking some time off in like a month, but don't worry. I'll still be fixing bugs, just no major development. So, yeah. That's about, I'll give you that part of what's of a spoiler for the next thing. And then, of course, after that, I'm going to do basically a kind of self-mod spotlight. I'll explain how everything works, what it does, how you get it, and, you know, then about a month of time off for me, so I can actually have free time. And then I'm gonna write it as well, because I really need to write my books. That's what I'm gonna be doing for a living, so yeah, I kind of need to write my books if I'm gonna be making money off them. And yeah, so I guess tune in a few weeks. And until then, just watch the Excavatora. Watch it! Bye.